moves every single year. Why? He knows a thing or two about building this business. So I think it would be very wise to learn from him. If you want to maximize your income in the compensation plan, listen to what he has to say. He's a good friend of ours. Not only is he a founder and a founding member of ARIIX, but 4 years ago when we started this, we could not have done it without him. He brought to the company a demand for marketing excellence, for products that are actually going to work, and for a commitment from the ARIIX management team that is going to take ARIIX to $1 billion and beyond. I am excited and thrilled to welcome to the stage your very founder and the top distributor of ARIIX, Mr. Tim Sells.
We're going to have a whole lot of fun here. Are you having fun? Yeah. How was Prime? You like that? Yeah, so did I. I've learned a whole lot about that. I want to talk to you a little bit on a few different topics here. Number one is that have you guys, who's hit the casino? How'd you do?
For a movie,
And you're up? How much are you up? 800? Oh, nice. They've got you tagged. Watch out. They've been following you with cameras around. They're waiting to catch you again. It's rigged. No, not really. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about, have you looked at the, I don't know, disposition of the various different players out there? What does the slot machine player look like? Kind of like an employee, right? Like they just sit there and they do this work, right? Yeah, Fred backstage, he goes, so replaceable, right? No, there's no thinking or anything involved in it. Over on the craps table, man, are they having fun? You know, everybody's screaming and yelling and having fun. All right, well, keep those things in mind as I go through here. My conversation is, why ARIIX? All right, well, before I give you that conversation, I want to talk to you about why business. Why not just sit there in front of a slot machine and do the job, right? Okay, well, because there's not a whole lot of destiny in front of you. And so there's work, there's keep doing it, and all you're looking for is the 4 o'clock or the 5 o'clock that you get to go home and start life. And then you wake up the next day, right? And so that's the reason that you would want to be in business, is so that you can, create your own canvas and paint a picture and say, I want to get there, right? And what business really does is that you acquire a customer base that gives you money, right? Like that's really what all business owners are about, and what they're trying to accomplish is acquire customers so that we have a steady income. All right, so some other things that come into it, because a job will give you money. So finance isn't the only thing about business. The other thing is that you need enlightenment. In other words, you need to learn things. When you're green, you grow. When you ripe, you rot. And so you don't want to be sitting there not learning anything. So you want to keep on. So business ownership gives you things that you get to learn, things you learn by mistakes. But regardless, it's keeping the person moving, keeping the person growing. And I like that about business. It's excitement. Sometimes it's kind of like skydiving to be in business. Because you're in the middle of a dead fall, you have a certain amount of assumptions, and one is that when you pull, then you're going to get a full main parachute above your head, right? And so it's a little exciting and refreshing when it does open, and a little bit of meltdown when it doesn't, and you have to pull your reserve, because then you're all in, right? So then there is fulfillment. And the fulfillment comes from helping other people. That is where my greatest fulfillments come from. Helping a person get over something that is pinning them down physically or mentally. All right, so that's the fulfillment side of things. So that's all the reasons that I could come up with this morning as to why you would want to be in business. And it's really mine. It's why I'm in business. Okay, so if you're going to be in business, why be an MLM? Well, that's real simple. For me anyway, and that is that I want to build a team of people who go beyond me, and they acquire customers, and then that gives me all of those things times the X factor. So if I've got 10 people on my team, then I get the finance, I get the enlightenment and the excitement and all of that times 10. So if I have 1,000 people, if I have 100,000 people. And so all of the joys of life, if you will, for me come from working with people. Even if they're bad experiences, they are experiences, and I love them all. So that's why I'm an MLM. Now, why did I choose ARIIX? How many of you have seen a video called Why Tim Sales Chose ARIIX? All right, that's a lot of you. Okay, well, I want to go through here because what you've heard about pretty much all day today is why our products, and why our compensation plan, and why our management team, and so forth. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of put a cherry on top of all of this. Number one is that I didn't make an emotional decision. Okay, every time I hear Lynn's story, it's so beautiful. And she says, you know, I lead with my heart. And she recalls the experiences of Mark and Fred, and saying, you know, wow, those are the people that I loved, and I want to follow them. I didn't make that kind of a decision, and I'm not being insensitive, and I didn't say that I don't love the management team. What I said is that that's not how I make decisions. My former line of work was the bomb squad. You don't make decisions based on that. These are not emotional decisions. All emotional decisions in the bomb squad environment are bad ones. That means you waited too long. And when you wait, you forfeit time. And when you forfeit time with bombs, it's bad luck. Okay, so you don't ever want to forfeit time. So my decision came from study. It came from really looking behind the curtain, looking everywhere, observing. Okay, so some of the things, there are 5 reasons. You've heard them, but I want to give you a little bit of a different perspective on this. On the brand strategy, how many of you love the Prime today? How many of you feel as though that you will now go out and that's going to be one of your primary, if not the primary focus that you're going to build with? All right, there you go. Okay, so there are people who stood up on that. How many of you saw the Slender Eyes stories and were crying your eyes out and say, I'm going to work with that? All right, very good. How about the Nutrify story with the gentleman who came up on the stage? How many of you want to help people like that? Okay, what you just experienced, and I'd love to go into the water conversation because a lot of you know me as the water conversation. How many of you really, really love the water and movement on the water? All right, so there you go. So now, if I were to go up to anybody in business and I would say, hey, are you interested in building a business with essential oils? If that person told me no, then I get nothing out of that exchange. But if I say we have 4 different brands that we work with, which one most excites you? And the person says, oh, well, I'm very, very passionate about weight loss, or I'm very passionate about water. All right, so do you see the difference? Because with that, it's never an absolute no, unless they're not interested in any of them. But you get the idea there. If you have everything based upon just one product, or one particular concept, do you see how it can be really risky? Let's just say that the only thing that we had in our brand was, I don't know, MOA. Like there's a lot of juice companies out there. And then what happens if something happens to the ingredients on that product? Or what happens if regulators come in and shut that product down or something like that? What happens? What happened to your check? Yeah, it's just like walking through the casino and it's a total crapshoot. You just put all of your money and you wasted it. Those are chips, by the way. They're exchangeable. Oh, now they're digging. Do you see the problem with single company products? You're waking up from the shock of that. They're still digging underneath the floor. How much? I threw 10, just so you know. All right, so you don't ever want to get into a company that does not have diversification, and I don't like them when the entirety of it sits all on the same name. So if you have one name and then a whole bunch of products underneath there, and then that name is harmed in the media, let's say, or it reaches the perception of saturation, then the whole thing's gone. So you don't want that either. So I love the fact that the brand strategy is here at ARIIX. Okay, on the compensation plan, you have both infinite wide and infinite deep. Ian did a great job of explaining that. How'd you like that conversation? And what meant the most, it was the comparison slide. I love that slide. That shows the compensation plans compared to others and how much they actually pay out. The next one is Bill of Rights. Boy, this is a big one.
Yep, that's my favorite.
Right? If you do not have a Bill of Rights, something that has legal protection, then you're going to could end up, my guess is I probably received maybe 35, 38 phone calls where leaders have reached out to me and said, Tim, man, I need your help. And it's always one of these kind of conversations. I said, what's going on? And he says, man, the company took my check. I said, well, give me the details. And it's always almost the same. And that is that they found some little insignificant thing so that they could remove a person from the tree. All right, so, but these people are normally the people who have done well. They're making money, or they've got a fantastic position in terms of like most of the sales volume is below them, and they want to remove that person. And so they call me on the phone, and they are in tears because the company took their check. They don't have any money to be able to legally go after them, and so they poured their heart out. They built. You guys know what it takes to build a company. So let's just say, like the last phone call I got was the guy was making $2 million a year, and the new ownership changed hands, and the new CEO was not as friendly, and this particular representative. Yeah, that's incredible. That is insane. No other company has that. So every other company is a crapshoot. Now, the reason that I like this particular one so much, number one, the money. Yes, it's awesome, but I get to steer my destiny. I get to have a role. And so not only do you, when you work real hard and you provide some significant volume for the company, and if you get invited in, then you can share in the profits that the company has, that normally all the owners of network marketing companies who are driving in these big yachts, they've got private airplanes, all of that kind of stuff, well, they're splitting the profits with you. And that's just unheard of. And so that's the reason I believe we're getting so many good leaders into ARIIX. Experienced leadership. Any job, any business, any MLM is a risk, right? If you have a job and you think you have security, you don't. Because if you have a job, you can be replaced. You can be fired, right? I think the biggest risk of having a job is not ever doing what you could have done, right? So I just happened to walk out of the elevator and I saw these guys hanging from the side of the building, and they were window washers. And I'm like, man, that's a suicide op if I've ever seen one around here. When you look out the window and there's some guy dangling up there. You know, you'd expect these guys to make like $1,000 an hour or something like that, but they don't. Okay, they don't make much money at all. It's under $100 an hour, and I think it was around 55 is what he said. So that's a whole lot to be dangling up there. And so in my opinion, not doing your own business to me is very, very risky, because you live your whole life for somebody else's dream. And so I think that's actually a lot more risky than people think. But all businesses have risk to some degree. But if you're not in business, well, then it's a crapshoot. So let me give away another $100 or so. My wife just said, "What? I could go do that." You know what? That particular one's worth a couple of hundred. Okay. So the reason that I joined, okay, I see you over there. Unfortunately, we're all out. ARIIX has got abundance. In finance, it's got an abundance in enlightenment. There's a lot that you can learn here. There's an abundance in excitement. Exhilaration would be the way that I see it. And then enormous amount of fulfillment. The products that Deanna and then the gentleman who came out here who called himself a geek, oh man, I ran backstage and I hugged that guy. Wasn't he amazing when he was walking through the regulations? That guy was amazing, man. And of course our Ireland girl who made me cry sitting back there. So there's a lot of enlightenment, and that we can help people with really, really quality products, because if we're trying to build a business and we do it based on customers and then getting teams to get customers, if those products are not quality, eventually it comes out. And then that's when your business stops. It unravels from the bottom up because people aren't committed to the products. And so you've got to have that piece of the equation. And then when you have a company that has all 5 of those, well then you bet big. You guys didn't want to catch this one. Alright, I promised you one over there. You better catch that. Alright. Who got it? Who got it? Who got it? Oh, it's under the table. Man, throw that lady out of the chair. What's wrong with you? What's my message?
100.
Hey, I'm all out. Sorry. I said I went all in. What did you think I said? No, really. So what's my message? You've got the right company. Go all in. Don't play around with this thing. Pioneering is officially over. It's a little bit sad for some of you because you were filing your fingernails or something and it went right by. Right? And you're like, oh. As soon as you start seeing other people other than the management team up here, right? You start seeing these new guards coming up, then that means the company is now able to run the thing like a big company. So normally in pioneering, you're the one catching the arrows in the back. You're the ones who are trying to explain why this product diversification, this brands is 5 products in a box. You're trying to tell this story, and the story doesn't match the website, just as you heard Phil talk about. And so that time of ARIIX's history is over. It's past. So pioneering is over. If you wished you had gotten in at the beginning, and you did get in at the beginning, but you didn't build significant enough, well, you've got maybe a year to get about the same thing in terms of positioning, unless you catch another country or something like that. Just in my opinion, just what I've seen, companies I've worked with before and companies I've been in before, I've seen it to where a particular stratus that people in this particular bracket were able to get to $500,000 a month, and then just a 6-month difference in time was $250,000. Now, knowing that Tyler's in the room, I have to put a whole bunch of disclaimers around this, saying I did not say that you could make that. I did not say that the company's even going to pay out that. I didn't say any of that. I just referenced a period of time in other companies at the magnitude of what 6 months of production can cost you based upon the timing of this freeze around this, people starting to finally see it's real. They're starting to really see, oh my gosh, you know what? I've already missed a big move. I missed a $100 million move. Don't miss the next $300,000 move. Don't miss that one. It can be very, very significant between if you work now versus if you wait another year. And so you say, well, Tim, the timing's just not right in my life. You better make it right. You know, like that's a costly problem you got going on there. You better get rid of that thing. And the best way to do it is just like, you know, grab a Kleenex and get rid of that thing and move on. Okay? Because excuses are not valid now. Excuses are all you need to fail. And I know that may be crude, and I know I'm being a little bit tough. I'm being like military discipline, tough thing. But all you need is one excuse that you can't lose weight, or you can't get engaged now. And if you think that you can blame it on the company, that the company's this didn't work and the company's that didn't work, well, don't tell that to a founder. Because we didn't buy the story. Oh, we complained, but we didn't buy it as an excuse. And so from now on, the company's always going to be getting better. You're always going to be able to blame it something on the company. You're always going to be able to blame it on your upline didn't help you enough. You're always going to be able to blame it that your spouse has got her foot up against the door. You're always going to be able to blame it on your Wi-Fi connection. You're always going to be able to blame it on something. But if you got one of those, it's all you need to fail. So what you got to do is turn that thing around and say, do I have one good enough excuse to succeed? And that's all there is. And then you'll be up here on the founder stage with us. And so with that, I appreciate you guys being here. I have been told that I am to, I guess he said uninvite you? No, that wasn't the way he said it. Fred was trying to explain. He goes, all right, you're going to close the meeting. You're going to have them leave. So I'm going to invite you to leave, go eat and everything. But there's one thing that he told me to tell you, and that is he says, you know, ask them to be back in their chair by 7 o'clock. And I said, you don't ask them to be back. It's not military command there. You got to tell them, you need to be back in your chair. We're going to start on time at 7 o'clock. So eat. Be back here at 7 o'clock. And all of you who got that money, you might as well throw it up in the air if you're in Vegas. Thank you guys.